Well, we're down at Moore's. We've dropped the Golf off to have a look at the ABS sensor, which we universally, you all said the same thing, left down rear, which is what came up on the top dom, wasn't it? Say left down rear. Interesting, it's not come on again since I cleared it, but I'm not confident that's fixed it, so I'm just going to fill wheel off, check it. The reason I'm not getting involved in doing it myself is I'm going to take the Jag back, because the guys think they've fixed the Jag, and judging by the bit of dirt up the side of it, it looks like they've been out for a test drive. So we'll hop in it, I'll get it back to the unit, and we'll have a talk through what happened. Unless I can get Phil to come on camera, he might be interested in having a chat about it. So we said we were going to give Phil legend status, but who was, sorry, Trevor has actually worked on it. Yeah. So what you guys found, what did you find, Phil, with the smoke test?
You've got a second-hand one of these on there now.
Right, okay.
Basically, you had the leaks underneath here.
And that feeds the air either side of the engine?
Into the inlet manifold, yeah.
So we were losing boost through leaks in that?
Several leaks as well, not just one.
And the sensor was dead?
Yeah.
So you think that's cured it? What was
it?
Driven. Yeah.
No codes, come back. Goes like stink.
This is the 3 litre, isn't it? Not the 2.7.
Like stink.
It does. When I first got it, it went like stink.
Yeah.
So that'll be a bit of fun testing that. Yeah. You still reckon there's some exhaust leaks further down, aren't there?
This side's, yeah, this side definitely. That side possibly.
But that's post turbo and all that. That's it's just obviously noisy, not causing a problem.
Yeah.
And how much did you have to take off to get this in? Did you have to take these manifolds off to squeeze it in?
No. Trev got it in without, I believe.
Yeah, because he
said to me it was easier than he thought it was going to be.
Yeah, he did think he was going to have to take these off to be able to get the room to do it.
Yeah. Think so, wouldn't you? The way it does that.
Yeah, I could see what he was on about, that it might need to be done. And that hasn't popped off again since you booted it.
No.
Oh, guys, so we're just going to play with it and see what happens now. Nice one. So we'll reserve the legendary status until I've taken it for a test drive, shall we?
Go for a drive and enjoy it.
Yeah. We've also got with Phil the DS. Now the guys have started this a number of times, and exactly like I did, sometimes they're starting it without any problems at all, and it runs fine. They've had a look over it. What they decided to do is do a full oil change and change out the spark plugs on it, because they look like they're the originals on it at the moment. But it may well be there isn't actually, touch wood, a problem with the timing chain or the Vanos's on it. Is the Vanos's on this, Phil? Is it? Yeah. Yeah. The variable valve timing run by the hydraulic oil pressure. Now, so what we're thinking is do full oil change on it first, change out the spark plugs, and then drive it again, because like these guys are having exactly the same issue I had, haven't you? Where sometimes you start it and it's actually fine, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, every time it has been.
Every time it has been. Yeah.
8 times probably, 7, 8 times.
Yeah, and it was ultra low miles, so it may well have been sat around for a very long time. It's going to be another interesting one, but as always, the more guys are doing me solid by doing proper diagnosis rather than just throwing parts at it, which is exactly what you want, because the bills rack up really quickly otherwise. That said, I better go and find out how much my bill is in the Jag. Right, I can't tell you what the bill is because they don't want to charge me until I've test driven the car and made sure whatever it is has worked, which seems incredibly reasonable of them. So I can't say how much more I'm into it at the moment, which I know a lot of you will be interested to know. So, first things first, have we got any, I forgot how to drive this thing, engine management codes? No. Still saying the smart key is low. They haven't rinsed all my diesel, so we've got enough to go for a little burn. The only thing is we're up at the camera in this one, because I haven't worked out yet how to get a gap in the headrests. I imagine it might well be on the electrics on the seat somewhere. They've left me a tool. Right, see what the score is. Right guys, I couldn't record for you as you saw with the camera, so I will put the camera up in the car and we'll do a video on the way home tonight. All I can say is I did a number of big pulls in this thing, no codes come back, and it takes off into the horizon big time. I think when you're putting sort of mild throttle down, I don't know if it's running off 1 turbo or not, and the second kicks in later, but if you mash your foot, this thing goes. Now obviously this is a 3 litre, not the 2.7 the other one had. It's a beast. it's an absolute beast. I can't imagine one of these things must be like mapped up or something. But yeah, so the Moors guys replaced that with the used part on the engine. So their process of elimination was, first they obviously established the map sensor was duff, so they replaced that. But they then did a smoke test which showed them where there was any leaks in the engine bay. They established there in that top unit there, the intake unit. They had one, because they do a lot of Land Rovers and stuff like that, and Discoveries, that 2.7's in a lot of them, so they had that bit on the shelf luckily used off of another vehicle. So they said to me, look, we'll pop that in, and if that works then we'll know if you want to get a new one, that's the way to go forwards, which if they can let me have the used one, I'll just stick with that. And then they did another road test in it and established it was sorted. So the way they went about doing the checks on it and the repairs on it has kept the cost hopefully low. I don't know what the bill is yet. I can't imagine what that part must cost brand new. But just again, massive thumbs up to the Moors guys, absolute legends. A few of you have been sending me stuff which I really appreciate, the chocolates and all that, but I'm trying to be good on that side of things. So if you fancy treating anyone, treat the Moors boys, send them down chocolates and biscuits, because they are absolute legends. And if you're in the area of South Molton and you're looking for a good garage to work on your cars, I just can't recommend these guys highly enough. And the way they're approaching the DS as well, again, it would have been easy just to get into that engine, strip it all apart, this, that and the other, but they're doing it the right way. They're letting it sit for a couple of days, starting to see if it makes noise. They've got 2 of them listening so they can get second opinions on it, and they're doing the simple stuff first. So fingers crossed we can get a fix on that as well. Well, if there is a fix that's needed, it may well have been that car had just been sat around way too much, because it only done 30,000 miles. It could have been sat around just way too much and just needs a really good run. It can be that simple sometimes. Not very often, but it can be. So what's the plan for the Jag now? Still scares the bejesus out of me to retail it, so I think I want to trade it out. I don't know what the bill is yet on it, so then I need to factor that in. But obviously now it's a running, driving car, clear of codes, that performs as it should, with a full Jaguar service history. So I think it's worth good money. This retail wise is about 5 grand. I don't think, again, I need to find out what the bill is, but I don't think I'm going to let it go for less than 3. I think 2,995 trade sale, worth every penny to get into a motor like this. Yeah, again, my reasons for not being able to retail: too many toys, too many gizmos, too much complex stuff in the engine bay. I'd love to sell it to a consumer to have a cracking car for peanuts, but just can't do it, guys. Can't do it. Like I say, I could only sell it trade. That does mean to any business, if someone's genuinely got a business, you can sell it to them. They don't have to be a car trader, but you just can't sell it to any consumer. You can't do it spares or repairs, guys, because it doesn't matter what I put down on paper. If a consumer comes and buys it off spares and repairs, and then there seems to be a problem with it later on, I already know if they then decide to kick off, it's always going to go in favour of the consumer in a court. So it's just not something I'm even willing to get involved in. So those of you that follow my Instagram channel will have seen, somewhere behind the door here, would have seen a picture said, oh no, he's back again with the blue Seed, Kia Ceed station wagon. If you don't know what I'm on about, you'll have to go to the earlier videos. Now, I told you in a previous video that I was going to get a clutch fitted for the chap, and I've had the clutch kit dropped off to me that came out of the car. There was a lot of people that thought it wouldn't be the clutch. Now the guys popped by and says that the car is transformed. Now if you look at the clutch plate itself, it doesn't look too bad. That isn't too bad, but you look at this release bearing, and then you look at the fingers on the release plate, whatever you call it. Look how worn those are, guys. That is really, really worn. It looks like someone was riding the clutch quite badly on this, and yeah, that was the culprit. The customer's come back, he's well chuffed. He says the car is absolutely transformed, drives perfectly now. So in this instance, on that 1.6 diesel, it was the clutch. Now obviously there are a number of examples where it hasn't been the clutch, but yeah, that it was in this case. That was fitted by Motorworks, wasn't it? Because he booked it in himself with a company called Motorworks in South Molton. They charged me £220 including VAT for fitting the clutch, and I bought the clutch kit myself. Now that, with warranty wise, that may well be covered. I think we'll have to put a claim in and see where we go. Send them a picture of that. I don't hold out too much hope. Look, it is Kia, it's a genuine Kia one. Yes, it'll be the original one that was in it, I imagine. With 100,000 miles on it, it probably needed replacing anyway. Well, I said the friction plate didn't look too bad, did it? But yeah, so that is the story of the blue Kia, and for the moment the gentleman seems happy. So guys, we're heading home in the Jag, and let's see what occurs on the ruddy good thrashing it's going to get home. We'll let it warm up a bit first, and then we're going to give it the beans and see what we can upset. Now we know at the end of the day, with 151,000 miles on it, you know, even if I can give it the beans all the way home and it doesn't get upset, that could be a long-lasting situation, or it could be for a very short period of time before it needs other parts. In terms of fixing the blowing exhausts, as I said, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to worry too much about that at the moment. Now obviously one of my concerns is that now the guys have fixed those leaks on that manifold, if it was pressure that was causing those leaks before, over pressurizing, that it's going to find somewhere else to escape, and that could be via the two plastic manifolds either side, which is the big horrible job to do. The fact it was the top manifold was a blessing, because like I said, the other two are quite hard to work on. But if that had leaks as a result of something over pressurizing, stopping that from happening could now cause it to do it elsewhere. It'll be interesting to see if that front pipe pops off or not. Right, let's give it a hard pull up this hill. Whoa, that's fast. That is fast. I need to go slower before I do the pull so that I'm not exceeding the speed limit, because it gets there very quickly. But it had no issues with that at all. Dropped it. Yeah, no issues with that at all. Just dropped and went. No codes on dash. Still getting the one for smart key battery low. I think the smart key must recharge down the bottom here by plugging it into the car like it does on the Minis. So I need to put it in there for a prolonged period of time, get that charged up, because I haven't got it in there at the moment. It's on the seat. Right, another pull up the hill. Yeah. Again, loads of grunt. That is rapid for a diesel. Gordon Bennett, this thing is effortlessly fast. It really is. You've really got to keep your eye on that speedo, because it doesn't feel like you're doing anywhere near the speed that you are, because it does it without any hassle at all, smoothly, quite well, not necessarily quietly with a bit of exhaust leak, but it does it smoothly anyway. Right, we're going to try it for a few corners at the moment. I haven't put it in sport. I don't know if that does anything to suspension or not, or whether that just makes the gears hold longer. But let's try it for a few corners here. There we go. Now for this nice little one. Gosh, it doesn't feel anywhere near as big as it is. It does not feel cumbersome through there at all. That's impressive. That's got some grip. That, I mean, it doesn't surprise me with the size of the tyres on it, but it doesn't feel like a big car when you start throwing it through the corners. One of my favourite ones down here, It's a nice tight left-hand corner. Come into that. Gets tight quite quick, this one. Turning is brilliant for the size of the car. I'm impressed with that, guys. I'm impressed with that. That's got decent handling. You can throw that about the place and it doesn't feel heavy and cumbersome at all. So we've done hard pulls on it, we've thrown it through the corners, and we've still got no engine management light, and it's still performing well, and I haven't seen any smoke. I wouldn't want to write it off, because to be honest I haven't been looking that close, so I should do that in a second, do a poll and see if I've got any smoke. But I suspect it won't, because I imagine the smoke was down to the map sensor being dead. Was it map or MAF? And the air getting in means the car would have been over fueling. So that is probably the reason we were getting smoke before, because it would have been compensating by loading up the fuel. But I will do a few more pulls and I'll double check out the rear window. Oh, should we try sport? I don't need to pull over to get into sport, I need to push down to get into sport. So a quick look. Don't want to pull the gearbox while I'm doing this. Right, sport. Ah, it dropped down a cog straight away. Yeah, it holds the gears longer in sport. A lot of fun, that is. So we could be another, say, £500 into it. I don't know where we are yet. Like I said, I didn't want to bill me till they knew that it was fixed. So obviously my cheap sales price I mentioned earlier in my video is out the window now, because I spent the extra money on it. And as I always say, you can buy it off me cheap if you're prepared to take the risk the same as I did, but there is no real risk in terms of things now, because I've now sorted the engine management thing. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have the car fixed and have it cheap. You either have it non-fixed, super cheap, or you have it fixed, still good value for money, or you have it full retail, which is just what it should be, whatever Auto Trader says it should be. You know, that'll be serviced, new MOT, all that stuff, the full warranty. But no, you don't get to wait until I fixed it and then buy it from me cheap because I got it cheap. I took the risk, so I get the payday. So where do we stand with the numbers now? I'd say as it is, trade sale out the door with whatever remaining MOTs on it. Just as it stands now, me having resolved the engine management issue without doing anything to the exhausts or anything like that. Like, to be honest, I don't think it's much of a blow because it's not that noisy inside. I'd say 3k. Retail wise, it's got to be for 995, maybe if you're being generous for 495. So that's where I think the numbers are with it now. So if you're a trader out there, or you own a business out there and you want to make a business or a trade purchase of it, we'll call it 2995. But as said, that means that from this point forwards, you're on your own with it. I've done as much as I can to check it's all good. It's changing through the gears nicely, it's braking nicely, it's got full performance, there's no engine management lights, it's got that full Jaguar service history. I think we've got 2 keys for it. It's a cheap bit of motoring really, isn't it? Even if you do have to spend some money on it later on, it's still a cheap motor. My daughter really wants me to keep it, but and to be honest, I would be tempted to keep it for myself if I had already sold off the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, sold off the Sport. What else have I got? I'll be keeping for myself. Yeah, I need to sell some other stuff. Once I've sold some other stuff, I'm going to consolidate, maybe get one like toy for myself, I think. that'll do everything, so I don't have to multiple cars. But it's been a really fun process getting something different for the channel rather than just the small hatches. Something a bit more interesting performance wise. You know, so there's only so many 1.2 Hyundai i10s you can do. Hopefully you've enjoyed it Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well, as I'll continue to look out for some more interesting stuff to flip in between. As always, thanks for watching everyone. Catch you on the next one.